listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Angela Barnes and Alun Cochrane today. I'll explain more in a moment. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Angela.
Hello.
What a lovely surprise. Well, not a surprise. I knew you were coming.
Ta-da.
Emily Dean is in prison.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, for
we always thought she could turn, didn't we?
There was a fracas at a local jumble sale. Mm-hmm. Oh God, that's a place you wouldn't find.
I hope she's not listening.
I don't think they're allowed, are they?
No, it's contraband.
So, welcome, Angela. We've worked together before, have we not?
We have.
We did the long-lamented Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain on ITV. ITV stuck their neck out and did a live panel show.
They certainly did.
It was courageous.
And I was a last-minute addition to that as well.
Yeah, well, this is all very good. But you were excellent on it.
Oh, thank you, Frank.
And actually played a big part in its formation, if I remember. You did a lot of the warm-up shows as well.
I did, yeah.
I mean, it's not what you want to build your career on, the reputation of Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain, which did one very brief series, and then people don't even know it existed now, which is, it's a mixed blessing.
It was. So I listened. I'm an avid reader of this show anyway. So when I did Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain, because I'd listened to you talk about it on this show, all I had going through my head was the Stony Ground theme tune. Angela, don't have anything that lands on stony ground.
Let's hear. This is the and we might well use it today. This is my jingle for a joke that goes badly.
Some of them did fall on stony ground.
It's fabulous. It's taken from, obviously, the parable of the sower and the seeds.
Is it?
Yeah.
Obviously.
I liked it most of our... And we've already had a discussion this morning about the headphones. I noticed that you thought we had big headphones.
What? It's just
called headphones. What are they called?
Cans.
They're
called
technical.
cans.
But is
in the
headphones
business.
the other?
Yeah.
I always get mixed up with earplugs and headphones.
I think
and
there's
earbuds.
earphones.
Yeah.
Earphones, the ones you put in your ears.
I think they are, yeah.
And headphones on your head, I think.
I think so.
Okay.
But then when I went to put these on, the extendable bit was fully extended, and I thought there must be somebody with a giant head.
No, the Mekon, I think, was a guest on the. If there's any Dan Dare fans, thank God for that. He was a guest earlier on the show on that little hover platform that he used to travel on. Which, come to think of it, I think they took that idea for Yoda.
Oh.
He's got a little hover platform, if I remember right. So, a frisbee that's been thrown particularly well.
Right.
So it just hovers. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is that I did Steve Wright in the afternoon this week.
I feel like I need to clap when you say that. That's
It is. I love that. Have you done it?
I have. I've done it once.
Do you join in with your own applause on there?
I was too nervous.
See,
I don't think I did.
I do. I've added whooping in the past to mine. Because there's only at most there's 3 of them in there.
Right.
And so you feel you want to thicken the soup a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, we started, before we went on, he said, I said, shall I wear the headphones? He said, you don't have to if you don't want to. And we started, he said, Frasier never wore headphones, even when he was talking to, people who found in, so they didn't know anything about radio, which I thought was an interesting point. And Steve Wright, of course, knows a lot about radio. And then someone else said, and our Shoestring never wore headphones. Do you remember that series,
The
Shoestring?
detective.
The private detective, but he also was a local radio.
Oh, I didn't know that about him.
And I said, well, what can you expect on that budget?
Oh, nice.
And they didn't get it.
No.
That's a real shame.
And I waited. It was one of these when I waited, and then it slowly permeated. But it was as Steve Wright said, so it was the worst possible start to the thing. So they didn't get the Shoestring budget joke.
That's a pity.
Was that my fault or their fault? 8, 12, 15.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Well, I've done a bit of a Friday night trawl, having a look at the emails that have come in, and we've got a whatever happened to scratch and sniff. It continues. Beside
what
the
a double
obvious,
that they were.
yeah. Beside the obvious fruity stickers in the 90s, I distinctly remember having a FIFA football CD that was scratch and sniff of newly cut grass. That sounds good, doesn't
Wow.
it? Can you think of any modern-day uses for this seriously underused technology? That's from Max, who's a brummie in New York. Done well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I wonder, has it completely gone?
I've not heard of it for
I don't know if
ages.
kids still, because we used to have the stickers and you collect them different. The only one I remember is an ice cream one, and I used to eat. But
Yeah.
what flavour ice cream?
I have an idea
Can you
that
smell of ice cream.
I think my child wears stickers that smell of strawberry and stuff. But I don't think if you scratch them, I think they just
smell of it.
they constantly emanate the vapour of fruit.
Whereas the joy of the scratch and sniff was that it was all contained, and then you scratch and it's like the genie in the bottle.
Exactly.
How it comes.
But then you could do it more than once, couldn't you? So how did that work?
Could you really?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you
It's
could.
amazing what they can do nowadays. I mean,
I once ate live squid in Korea, and sorry everyone.
enjoy your breakfast.
Breakfast time.
It tasted great, but morally,
Did it?
obviously, it was
Yeah.
questionable.
I don't know how many militant vegans we've got that are about to go mad on the switchboard.
Oh, you'd be
Probably
surprised.
none.
Yeah, but anyway, I ate it, and then it was moving about a lot because it was alive, and then it died, and
At what point?
so I don't know, went off it a bit then. Like you know, as if I was a bloke who thought, oh, I'm not eating dead stuff. Yeah, how soon you get into the habit of eating live stuff that when it dies, just suddenly you're not interested. And then the chef came over, a handful of salt, sprinkled it on, it sprung back to life
No.
again. Yeah, all it needed was a bit of acidity.
We used to do that when I was a kid with flies. We used to catch flies, and then you put them in water, and then you'd rip out a hair. You're looking at me like I'm mad here, but you rip out a hair from your head, tie it to the fly, put salt on the fly, and it'd wake up, and you'd have a fly on a lead. No, just me? Okay.
Can I say, if there's any children listening, they're still God's creatures. Leave them alone. Also, they're covered in excrement, as we know now.
And salt,
Yeah.
apparently.
It's a strange.
What's this got to do with scratch and sniff, though? That's what I'm wondering now.
Oh, because it was the idea of you can do it more than once, you see, is that you can eat live squid and then it's dead and then you can eat it. That's where that's where I went. Sorry, I can't explain my own processes.
At what point did you notice the squid? Maybe we shouldn't go too deep into this. I don't know, but because if it's live on your plate,
Yeah.
surely first mouthful, that's it. It's dead. No, I suppose.
No.
No.
They abide. The squid. I'm worried now that people will be mortally offended
possibly.
by this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Well,
I've eaten it now. What can I do? I can't regurgitate something I had
Good point. I think the
in
scratch and sniff thing.
2002.
I think the scratch and sniff has largely gone, but it sounds like sniffy stickers remain.
Yes.
Ooh.
That's
I have an idea that in ladies' magazines,
oh yes.
you know, the sort of thing,
Ooh.
that there are cards that you can scratch to get the smell of a perfume that you then might want to buy. The producer is nodding.
Getting vigorous nods.
Sort of impregnated.
Some great
I don't think you
team.
scratch them though. I think they just smell.
Just open them up.
They're just soaked, and you open it, and it.
Like sample sachets, is that what we're talking?
I'm not talking sachet, I'm talking card.
It's
Oh,
like
really?
an impregnated bit of cards.
Oh,
with the
right, yeah.
scent, but yeah.
Get all
Yes.
sorts. They get some lovely bags, free bags with magazines.
I mean,
Those
they are
people.
commercially available. If you
I
really want one, just
but
buy one.
I can't go in and get the woman's realm for
You
a
can.
free bag.
It's all the spectrum now, Frank. You can. If you want, there's no ID check. Just
I don't
buy
need
it.
a makeup bag. I suppose I could use it for other things, but they often have things like L'Oreal on the side of them. Is L'Oreal? Is that a thing?
L'Oreal.
L'Oreal,
Near
yeah.
enough.
Something like that, yeah. Well, I hadn't completely unfolded it.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
So I performed at the Queen's 92nd birthday party this week.
Ooh, la-di-da.
Yeah. Hoity! I remember someone saying that in Little Women, the Little Women that Judy Garland won. One of the girls said, "I don't wish to do that because I want to be a doctor or something like this." And this old aunt says, "Hoity toity." I have had cause to use it in the past. So it's at the Albert Hall. I haven't been able to tell anyone. It's supposed to be a big secret.
Right.
So I got asked about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said to my partner, "This is my life." I said to my partner, "Do you want to come to the Albert Hall and see me play ukulele in front of the Queen?" And she said, "Who else is on?"
Oh, do you know that was almost my question though?
Wow.
That's harsh, isn't it?
I think
So
yeah.
she didn't go.
Wow.
She was.
Hopefully none of the rest of who else were on her listening, because they now know that.
Well, no, I
they
think
didn't
she
quite
was.
make the
She
grade.
was away for the weekend, and I think it was whether it was worth coming back.
Oh, right.
It wasn't.
So what did you play on the ukulele? Was it Happy Birthday?
No, we played "When I'm Cleaning Windows,"
Oh,
which
brilliant.
is a song packed with sexual innuendos.
Yeah.
But no one seemed to really notice.
I was going to say, did you keep it clean? Were you doing a
The windows
gig
were.
for the Queen?
Pyjamas lying side by side, ladies' nighties I have spied. I've often seen what goes inside when I'm cleaning windows.
It's
Wow.
a peeping Tom song, really, isn't it?
The blushing bride, she looks divine. The bridegroom, he's doing fine. I'd rather have his job than mine.
I never realised George Formby was so edgy.
That
Oh,
song
yeah.
was banned by the BBC.
Is it really?
Yeah.
For its lewdness.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
But not last week. It was on.
No, it was embraced by the I got to the Albert Hall and I got stuck at a police cordon
Right.
for 10 minutes. I couldn't actually get in. I'm just standing with my ukulele and a suit on.
Please let me play for the Queen.
Yeah, talking to the police.
Did you know a particular door to go to? Because I've been to the Albert Hall a couple of times, and it's quite difficult to get into the right bit of where you need to be. Is that a known problem with the Albert Hall?
Well, I think there was probably a little bit of extra security on that, as the
Compared to the night
entire
I
royal
played there, you
family
mean?
were going to be there, and various politicians and whatnot. But
Did she enjoy it? Did you speak to her?
well, it's funny you should say that, because I was in the wing. What happened? We had to rehearse I should say I was playing with the George Formby Society. It wasn't just me.
right.
Well, and I'm a member of the society, and I've done a documentary with them before about George Formby. But they said we'll pack it out with a few more celebrities. You know, in other words, I don't think you've got enough celebrity nowadays to carry it.
Right.
So they got me Harry Hill and Ed Balls as my wingmen.
I see.
Yeah, so that was the setup. So it's us three at the front, and then the George Formby Society,
Yeah.
including a couple of kids and some young. I mean, a lot. I suppose
Nice.
a lot of elder people amongst them, but a really great lot. I think we had a vote, and 70% were more worried about the stairs than the performance.
Right.
But they're really great. It was great. But too, I loved it. I loved the whole thing. It was brilliant. And at the end, we had to do the finale, and the president and his wife of the society were going to be on stage when the Queen was on stage, so they were excited. And we had to rehearse this bit where we line up behind. We walk on stage, and Kylie and Tom Jones and Shaggy and Sting, they're singing "What a Wonderful World," and we had to. Well, it so should have been "What a Ridiculous World," and we had to line up behind them, and then we had to look over our shoulders. We needed wing mirrors. When the royal party arrived, the idea is that we back up. As I said, we're a sort of Queen flap.
Oh,
so
right,
we go
nice.
back, they come in, and then we close again.
Nice.
And but we were waiting in the wings. So there's me, Ed Balls, and Harry Hill waiting in the wings. Well, I'll tell you after this.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So anyway, we're standing in the wings.
This is at the
Royal Albert Hall.
Royal Albert Hall.
Hall.
Me, Hill, and Balls.
yeah.
You Hill and Balls at the Royal Albert Halls.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
And Ed Balls gives me the bit of elbow in the ribs, and we look round, and the Queen and Prince Charles are standing literally right next to us in the wings, in the dark. No sign of any real,
No security detail.
No, there was some people around, but it was dark. They were just standing there. She said, "It's very dark." And Harry Hill said, "You need a torch, really." And I said, "You should have a torch bearer, shouldn't you?" And she said, "Yes, I should, really, shouldn't I?"
Excellent.
And then he came over, Prince Charles shook my hand and said, I very enjoyed the ukulele. And I said, "Oh, thank." He said, you aware of the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain?" And I said, I am. I said, "But to be honest, I've spoken to them. They're a bit sniffy about George Formby." He went, "Oh." And I thought, I've poisoned it. I've poisoned now in his mind the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain. They'll never get any work now at that end of the market.
They've had to take their by royal appointment off their logo now.
So a bloke, like 10 years ago at Cecil Sharp House in North London, said to me that he didn't think George Formby was much of a ukulele player. It's come back 10 years later with Prince Charles. But anyway, so they then wandered towards the stage. She's going, it's very narrow. So I thought, what's the wings? So anyway, she never goes anywhere narrow, if you think about it.
They got lost as well. Did they have trouble finding the right door?
So they went off.
Finding this a sage reminder that she's not in show business. She's so uncomfortable in tunnels and
she's not in the wings.
No,
she's centre stage.
Yeah.
So me and Harry Hill are sort of saying that was pretty amazing. And Harry said, "I got a picture of the back of their heads as they went off and all that." And we were laughing about it. And then what I didn't know is that Ed Balls had gone on ahead, and it was ready to do the finale. And he started going, Frank, come on. And she heard him and turned around and went, "Frank, hurry up." So the Queen's telling me to hurry up. I've never moved so fast in my life.
Wow.
I had 1,000 images of the man in the iron mask. I don't know why.
So it was literally a royal command performance.
It really was. Frank.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure she didn't know my name. She just copied it. But that was very strange.
It's surreal. I met her when I was a student nurse. I met the Queen. She came to open the ward that we were working on. Thank
So you used to get applause for that.
For being a nurse, it used to be enough.
No, we're
But I
just
gave
worried
up,
about.
so I'm-
We're
yeah.
worried about MRSA. Keep talking.
But it was in a hospital in East London, and she was opening a new ward, and we were all told to, have our uniforms nicely pressed and be ready for her. And there was myself and 2 other student nurses were stood by the door, and she walked past and she stopped to talk to us. We thought she was just going to keep walking past, and she looked at us. She said, "What do you do?" So we're wearing nurses' uniforms. So we just sort of looked down at ourselves and looked at, well, we're nurses. And then she walked off. But it was weird. It was in Hackney.
Maybe she wanted a breakdown, though, of what you...
Oh, maybe,
right,
what have I done today?
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
she wouldn't have wanted to know. But Hackney got tidied up that day. It was really weird. Like, the whole town suddenly, because the Queen was coming, I thought she must just think everywhere looks...
Well, the Albert Hall was pretty spruce.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was... what I liked, it was a very rare moment of informality.
Yeah.
And, she's 92, she's in the wings. It is a bit dark.
And no matter how important and aloof your life is, if one person is shouting for someone else, you can't help but one join in.
Especially if you're a person who exudes authority.
Yeah.
And also you've got gloves on that can be seen in the dark. You're going to beckon them forth. But it was very... Ed was just chatting to her though. So what do you think of the ukulele? I mean,
wow.
He's met her a few times, obviously, in his line of work.
Right.
He's fearless.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of it on one knee.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
One thing that I was really laughing with Harry Hill about when we were on stage at the Albert Hall is that Prince Charles did that mummy. When he said, Your Majesty, mummy. And he got a big laugh. I've seen him do that. Okay, that's the 3rd time I'm aware of him That's like he's set stop.
Oh, really?
And just as a comic, you just think, oh, it's nice to think they've got a bit of material they pull out for these.
They can lean on. Yeah.
And it's not exactly on the nose material. You know, when he first tried it, it's probably accidentally or something.
Yeah.
And thought, I'm sticking with this.
It's great that you can get it to still work, because I've done that before. You do an ad-lib, you're like, I'm going to do that again, and then it's never quite as good as when you've ad-libbed it.
I mean, the crowd's on his side.
I guess so, yeah.
To be
But
fair.
the thing that he did, which was much more experimental and innovative, is when he did the 3 cheers for the Queen. We all sang Happy Birthday for the Queen. And then we had to sing Happy Birthday, Your Majesty. And I thought, every time I sing Happy Birthday from now on, I'll think, it's all right, but it's not Your Majesty. But
Quite a lot of vowels as well.
I
for,
know, yeah.
For the
You have to
song.
fit in that.
Yeah.
But when he did the 3 cheers, he said hip, 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 hooray, instead of hip, hip. No, I've never heard the 3 hip
Has she
cheerleading.
Has she
before.
had a hip replaced?
I think,
Ah.
didn't Duke of Edinburgh have a hip thing
think he's
recently?
counting
Yeah, I
them
think
all.
he's been in
Think it was
hospital
that?
recently.
I think it's an
Maybe.
in-joke for him watching on telly
Might
at
be.
home.
Might be. I wouldn't put it past Prince
But it was
Charles
a bit
to have
like
in-jokes.
when he did it. Like we started to come in after the second hip, and then he chucked in a third hip. I don't know if it's
Could be
some
a royal
old-
tradition.
It could be.
They've got
Well,
them,
it's
He's
a
a
haven't
feist
maverick.
I heard of it. It's very strange. It was a strange day, I'll be straight with you.
Was the
He
Duke
didn't-
of Edinburgh there as well?
No, he's
He
not.
wasn't. He's not well, is he? I once did an after dinner at the Duke of Edinburgh's Polo Club, which was a terrible misbooking. I'm not sure.
Wow.
why. I think Sir
Ah.
Stephen Redgrave must have been being booed off stage at the Funny Bucket in Croydon. I don't know what was going on, but it was at a polo club, and I'm not really a polo person. I think it's fair to say. You might be surprised.
We discussed polo recently on the
Have
show
you?
as to whether it's a good day out. Did you watch the polo?
I didn't. I had the dinner with the polo players.
Oh,
So
God.
I know, and it was awful. And they were trying to convince me that it wasn't an elitist sport. And I said, well, I don't think people are coming out of coal mines going fancy a game of polo. And they call them ponies, not horses. They're polo
Oh, yeah.
ponies. And each player takes 10 ponies to each match because they swap
What?
the ponies all the time.
Oh, and I
I
thought
was like,
the
look,
kit
how
was
can that
too
not
much for
be
tennis.
elitist?
You know,
And
when the
sure
tennis
they're not
players
like,
walk on with that big bag. They've got 10 horses in a horse box.
I wonder if they're walking them for other people and making a few bucks.
Wowee.
Maybe.
You know, you see these people.
Oh, with the dog walkers.
Yeah, with about 7 dogs on a lead.
I was thinking, what happens if one of those kicks off, one of those dogs? I'm like, you're just going to get dragged through the park.
I think you often see that hypodermic in the belt loop. If it really comes to it, they will put it. They will not kill it, but
Yeah.
they'll drag it. For
They
the rest of
know.
275 has given us some information. Morning, the 3 hips thing is a Navy thing, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, they had with the self-confidence of somebody going, I think. you
Yeah.
know, but, it might be.
I wonder why they had
Feels
a,
like it
had a
could
hip.
be.
They like a hip flask, of course.
Oh, it could be that.
Full of
Naval
rum.
types.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to it. I think we might have. This would be good to get to the bottom of the 3 hips. The 3 hips. What a poor vocal group that would be.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Angela Barnes is with us this morning, and of course Alun Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
We're mainly talking about your event last weekend where you performed for the Queen. And like many of your show business stories, it's got the unbelievable quality of a fever dream. But it actually happened.
But I think everything that happens around the royal family has got that element to it. I think mainly regardless of your political views of the royal family, the level of celebrity of the Queen.
That's true.
Just forget the rest of the constitutional stuff. Just the celebrity thing is it's uplifting. That's what it is.
It's easily forgotten actually because they're sort of institutionalised and historical and all that. But
biggest celeb in the country.
pretty
and
famous, like,
global.
really, really famous.
Is there anyone more famous than...
Bieber. No, I'm
I'd
kidding.
like-
I don't think-
I'd like to think the Pope.
Well, you'd like to.
What about Sting came up to me and Harry Hill at backstage and said, I got the ukuleles. He said, yeah, what song are you going to do? And we said, When I'm Cleaning Windows. He said, I like, I'll tell you what I like, he's Leaning on a Lamppost. So I went, I'm leaning on, and he joined in. So there's me, Harry Hill, and Sting singing George Formby's Leaning on a Lamppost, and he was really doing it. And I thought, I'll start. We've done enough. So I stopped, and Sting carried on singing.
He did it a cappella.
He carried on, and I had to come back in again. With he was determined to get
Did he know
through
all
to
the
the end.
verses?
He knew a word. Sting.
The whole. Wow.
I mean, he's northern. He's northeast, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
But I've never heard him do Formby before. I don't know if he might have an album out. Sting does Formby.
Slipped under the radar.
Would that have been any more surprising than Sting and Shaggy?
No, you're right.
Wow.
Shaggy had what was that thing that Shaggy was wearing? He had like a thing that under his coat, like a white
I haven't seen
thing,
it.
I
like
haven't
a
seen
robe.
a picture of him.
I imagine the makeup woman would run along saying, "Shaggy, no, it's a Shaggy. So Shaggy, come back! You've got the cover hanging on you."
Oh, was it like a bib thing?
No, it was. I don't know what it was. What did you think, Dave?
It was like a long shirt.
A long shirt.
long shirt.
What did you think?
Shirt.
Like a night-shirt.
Straight out of
Oh.
bed. Oh,
Willy
me
Winky.
granddad's flannelette night shirt. If only Shaggy had done that. That would
That would have been
really.
a booking.
And I did what I don't normally do. I had quite a long chat with Luke Evans, the you know him from Beauty and the Beast.
No.
No.
Do you no? Is that what he's called? The guy who played. He sang. He's singer and actor, very handsome. We talked at the urinal for quite a long time.
That's when I'm glad I'm not a man. Urinal conversations. I don't think
Well,
I
I
could
don't
cope with
normally do that, but he showed me his beauty, and I showed me.
Oh, no.
No, but yeah.
Goodness me.
I'm worried now I've got his name wrong, because Daisy's heard of everybody.
Yeah, I thought
Watches
so.
a great deal of television and reads a lot of show business magazines. Yeah, anyway. I think one of my highlights was after the show. A woman came up to me in the after-show party and said, "My name's Claire. I'm an incredibly minor royal." Such a great intro. And I hung out with some of them. One part I was with 5 cousins, all of whom were minor royals. Some less minor than
How
others.
posh were they? Pretty posh. Still posh.
But they weren't. That posh when it becomes a sort of a. You can't understand what they're saying. It wasn't that kind of posh. This is why I didn't know when I interviewed Tara Palmer Tompkinson and everyone said, "God, she was completely out of it." I thought she was just posh.
Yeah.
Because that's where it could be anything, really.
I was when I did the polo dinner, and there was one guy there, and he spoke as if he was in great pain. It was like the words, it hurt them to come out of their mouth. He was so posh.
He might have been. That's the danger.
Yeah, we never would have known.
It's like the boy who cried posh. If you were in trouble, then who would know? But they were very nice. I like the minor royals.
Yeah.
And they hang out together as a family. How many of us can say that anymore?
No.
Yeah, that's true.
And also I had one of the corgis off the Queen's cake, which I've still got in my fridge.
You had one of the corgis off the Queen's
So
cake.
they had a special cake made.
Oh,
Presumably an icing rendition of.
yeah, I was
No, I
thinking.
think the last one
we
apparently-
started
Last
with
one
him.
passed away recently,
We
didn't it?
started with him eating live octopus. Now he's wolfing down a corgi in front of Her Majesty.
Oh, imagine trying to... There must be a bar called a corgi. Is there a chocolate bar called
Should
corgi
be
bar?
Yorkie.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
It's a business
Corgi's
plan,
gas
though.
boilers, isn't it? I don't know.
You've launched many business plans on here, but there's one.
Yeah, the corgi bar. That's not going to... Any ginger people or creatures in the public eye, I'm behind, including the corgis. You call them ginger?
They're gingery, strawberry blonde.
Oh, I think Auburn.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Got some information to update you with. We have had an email saying, "Hi Frank, polo players' ponies are called that because of height. Ponies are less than 14.2 hands. Horses are larger."
Okay.
Every day's a school day.
When they're measured in hands, is it like because of hands?
Because in the old days,
Yeah.
that's how you'd have done it. I'm presuming that's how feet got their name as well.
Yeah. But then there's a lot of variation to be had there then, isn't there?
There is, but there was probably a bloke who was brought in. I mean, if you've got a foot that's a foot, that's a big foot.
That's a big foot, yeah.
True. Yeah,
I've got big feet, but not that. I've got
No.
big feet for a girl.
What size
I'm
are
an
you?
8. My dad was only a 6.
That is pretty big, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, of course, as we know, Kate Winslet.
9.5.
9, yeah.
9.5.
That's one of your
God bless her.
one of your big mows for the radio
Yeah,
show.
fantastic.
We've also had
I've
somebody.
seen her pick a credit card off the floor with her hands behind her back.
That is good.
Amazing.
Somebody has merged our names to Phalange. Frank, Alun, Ange.
Farage. Is there a Farage in there?
Oh, there could be, I suppose, if you sack me.
I don't want to
I'm
sack
not doing
you.
that well,
I don't
Alan.
want to sack you for a pon.
Morning, Phalange. Did the Duke of Edinburgh play a part at the birthday ball?
Oh, lovely.
Order.
Strong work. 337.
Very fine.
But we had an email, and I can't find it now, but somebody, there we are, Matt Hayward, who said that his daughter's school has a polo team.
What?
How? I mean, we could barely afford
Keep
enough
it
netballs to go round at my school.
That'll be bikes. Yeah, but I sort of think if they got
Bike
them,
polo.
if they got the money,
Is
spend
that a
it.
thing? Bike polo?
Yeah, there'll be bike polo when they're in the schools. Should they? Alsatian polo.
There's water polo, isn't there?
There is.
Oh, there is that.
Yeah.
That is very difficult.
Yeah.
What's cheaper to keep water than 10 ponies?
Arguably the fittest athletes at the Olympics, the water
10
polo
ponies, though. Imagine that. How do they stack them? In storage, I wonder.
Yeah.
They don't tessellate, do they? But there's a word I haven't used for a long
No,
time.
I like it.
Tessellate.
You know what? I don't know what it means. You tell me.
It's when like shapes fit together, so like hexagons tessellate because you can.
Oh, nice.
You know.
I
Yeah.
see. Like, I don't know about you. I store quite a lot. Whenever I store multiple Toblerones, I take the packaging off
Right.
and interlock.
Feed them into each other. Nice.
You'd be a fool not to.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just from a saving space point of view, I think it's a very good thing. So, Angela, what are you up to at the moment?
So I'm glad you mentioned that, Frank, because I'm on tour at the moment.
Oh.
I'm doing my first ever tour, which is quite. But I'm nervous today because.
Oh, she's done well.
Oh, thanks.
Not everyone came back from Don't Ask Me, Ask Brit. Angela just soared straight through it.
Tonight I'm doing a show in my hometown, and that's made me nervous. So I grew up in Maidstone in Kent.
Oh, okay.
And I know Maidstone has a reputation amongst comedians as being a
For what?
tough gig.
I once spent New Year's Eve in Maidstone.
Did you?
At a
Why?
thing called, what was it called? Not Peppermint Rhino.
Spearmint, right?
No, well, there's one. It's called Peppermint something, I think.
Peppermint
It's a
Lounge,
nightclub.
something like
Strawberry Moons?
Strawberry Moons.
No, you didn't go
No.
to Strawberry Moons
I
in
did.
Maidstone.
that. We did
On
many
New Year's
strawberry
Eve.
moons
No
ago.
way.
And I went upstage and upstage is what Freud make of that. I went on stage, and I with my girlfriend at the time, and we did Tragedy by Steps, with all the hand actions that Steps used in it,
Wow.
which I just happen to know. And apparently, I think there might still be a picture of me in Strawberry Moons on stage doing
I'll pop
it.
down there tonight and find out.
What? There's so many things that I want to ask you about it.
Yeah, I remember. Yes, it was a strange night. There's a lot of drinking, but not me.
Had you been pre-booked to do your steps
No, I was
routine?
there. I was a punter.
It's not a thing that you'd
So you
learn.
chose to be
Oh,
there. You weren't paid.
I'd learnt it. No, I hadn't been
There's
paid.
no appearance fee.
It wasn't like the cheeky girls turning up. I was just in the crowd. I did it boxy, I think is the word.
So you were more like that girl from Tower. You didn't even get a tenner for turning up.
Nothing.
Gemma Collins.
Gemma
Nothing.
Collins.
Yeah, but it was the last crazy old New Year's Eve I think I ever had.
I'm so sorry that's where you had your last hurrah as a New Year.
Yeah, but it was all right. I didn't get glassed.
Yeah.
That's a win in Maidstone Town Centre on New Year's Eve, to be fair. That's a win.
That was my target for the evening. I remember the woman I drove home, I had to stop for her to be sick out the side door of the car.
Legend!
Yeah.
She's the queen of Maidstone.
Yeah. As she was being sick in the gutter, I remember she broke wind with alarming ferocity. It was that kind of night.
What year was that, Frank?
Oh, but it was all so simple then. What year would that have been?
I wonder
I'd
if I
say
was
99.
there. I could have been there.
Yeah? Think yourself lucky. We had back seats if required.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Angela was talking about Maidstone, and we've had 902 has texted, Maidstone rocks, don't diss the stone.
Let me, in my defence, right, I think I'm allowed to diss the stone because I'm from there. It's like a sibling, isn't it? I can diss my brother, but no one else can.
Well, I think I'm allowed to diss the stone because I
thought you were going to say you're allowed to diss Angela's brother.
No, I was going to diss the stone because I played Maidstone up the creek many years ago when they used to have the one. It was horrible.
I've heard horror stories. It closed before I started doing stand-up, but I've heard horror stories.
No one ever mourns that comedy club closing, I don't think.
I never did that. I did up the creek in London.
They opened a Maidstone branch, and it was brutal.
Although I did a theatre in Maidstone last week that was nice.
The Hazlitt?
Yes.
That's where I am tonight.
Oh, it was nice. I slept under a bench in the dressing room for over an hour, just on a bit of carpeted floor under a...
This is really weird.
I walked into the dressing room thinking, where can I sleep? Quite often there's a couch in a dressing room, nothing. It looked comfier on the floor than balancing on 3 or 4, because I'm tall, chairs. I felt like I might fall off the chairs. And one thing about the floor is that it's very difficult to fall off.
That's true.
Whilst asleep. So I just went.
But I don't know if I've ever been in a dressing room that doesn't have mice. That's what would have worried
I was going to say that because I slept on the dressing room floor at the Savoy Theatre. I was doing a show there once.
What's going on here?
And I had a nap, and it was really early in the morning, and I was doing Terry Wogan's show right, at the Savoy Theatre, and a mouse. Exactly that happened as I was laying on the floor. A mouse ran past me, and I screamed because it just made me jump.
At least it went past. It didn't use you as a
jumping point. Yeah.
Do you know what I've spent?
But then there was a knock on my door. And do you remember Lee Mead, the guy he was in the dressing room next door, and he came and knocked on the door to see if I was all right.
Oh, the shriek.
It was, yeah.
I've been wondering what happened to my mini cheddars for a week.
Oh, yeah, I've heard them call something.
You have a nap and they've gone.
If they do a film of Alan's tour, when they have the shot of him sleeping under the table, that is not the point to use under pressure. That's the soundtrack. A lot of people imagine comedians like nervously pacing up and down in their rooms. You two are sleeping on the floor.
I do pace. I once paced so nervously before a gig I was frightened of that my Fitbit recorded it as exercise.
Wow.
That's how nervous I was.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you're into exercise, if you want the Fitbit points.
We know you are.
Well, I'm not that bothered really. I haven't got a Fitbit.
I've got a Fitbit.
So last week I did
just the one bit. The rest of me is in a terrible state.
Very good. Get this for arguably bad scheduling. My tour last week, which is now finished, arguably.
Mine hasn't. Tickets available.
Yeah. I did Maidenhead one night and Maidstone the next. It's like whoever was planning it was trying to get me to say the wrong place name on stage in front of people from there.
Yeah, that could have been.
I just didn't bother. I just said you lot all the way through both of them. That was my tactic.
At least you turned up to the right one. Do you remember when was it Sean Walsh, the comedian, turned up in Hereford instead of Hartford?
Did he?
One night. That's quite a long way out.
That's problematic.
God, I mean, imagine having to wake him up on the floor and telling him that.
You're not even on here, mate.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
902 has done a thing that makes me feel slightly depressed. They're
died.
Trying to scare Angela about her gig. I'm bringing tomatoes to the Hazlitt. People always reference tomatoes as a version of heckling or throwing. I mean, it's just that the amount of effort to bring tomatoes to a gig rather than just shout out rubbish.
I just hope they're not in tins.
Yeah. Save yourself a trip.
Throw a glass or a table.
Yeah, don't give them ideas, Frank.
Yeah, just rip up the furniture and throw it towards mob rule.
It goes back to the stocks, doesn't it? The idea of
rotten fruit.
Tomatoes.
Yeah. Well, that's something to look forward to for me tonight. That's eased my anxiety. No,
but bear in mind, they can't just turn up. They've already bought because it's sold out.
It's sold out, that's true.
Exactly, that'll teach them.
Yeah.
We've also had 728 saying, wrong about polo ponies. They're bigger than 14.2, but still called ponies. And yes, riders usually have about 5 to 10 ponies, which does make it elitist in my book. We struggle to keep 2 show jumpers.
Wow. Well, I'm finding it hard to sympathise.
I'm the same on tour, to be honest.
I had 5 to 10 ponies once, but I did have dysentery. Something that we were talking about this morning with Angie Baby. Angie Baby. No, I started singing that song. As soon as someone said, someone called you Ange or something, I immediately thought of Angie Baby. Do you know that?
Helen Reddy.
I kind of wish you'd set it up before just calling her Angie Baby.
Live your life in the songs you hear on the rock and roll radio. It's about
my dad used to sing it to me.
It's about a disturbed
It's about
neighbour.
that she's a little touched is one of the lines.
Oh,
Angie Baby.
You're a little touched, you know. Angie Baby. I can't say that anymore.
No.
Ellen Reddy maybe can. Get away with murder, Ellen Reddy. That's what I've always thought.
Is that one of your Helen Reddy? Thanks for the advice. No, not quite. Is it? Almost.
Do you know Helen Reddy?
No, it wouldn't quite.
You need an
It needs to be Helen. It needs to
Helen's
Shreddy. Yeah, and of course, Angie by the Rolling Stones.
Well, that's what I was named after because my dad went to Dartford Grammar School.
You told us before you were named after Angie from EastEnders. Get your story straight.
No. I wish I was young enough to be named after. No, they used to call me that at school.
Oh, okay.
You see, that's why I didn't like. But I was my dad went to Dartford Grammar School, which is where Mick Jagger went. My dad was there just after him.
They called me Dirty Dan at school.
Did they?
I only because I made such an awful job of the lion section cleaning. That was what I was known for more than anything. No, anyway, but Angela, was it you or was it Alan? When I walked in, they were mid-conversation about bomb bags.
There was an article in the paper that the shell suit's coming back.
Okay.
That's right.
And
Sir Elton John reading that and thinking, what do you mean coming back?
It went away.
What's wrong? I've worn the bottoms with a suit jacket for 15, 20 years. Why wouldn't I?
He's got to be careful if he stands anywhere near that candle in the wind.
Yes, indeed. But yes, Angie Baby read out the shell suit article, and I mooted that I've been considering a return to the bum bag.
Well, I think whenever you get a hot snap, I went out the other day and I just had like jeans, t-shirt, shoes, socks. But I only had 2 pockets in the whole outfit, and that's not enough for me because as you get older, you need more and more things. You know, I need me buzzer.
Yeah.
What if I fall?
All the stuff.
Yeah. So I did think, I wonder if I've still got a fanny pack somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is what the Americans call them.
Yeah.
And they're on the return.
I use a little one for when I'm running, and it's like a little elasticated, but it's a tiny one. But
where does it go though? On your waistband?
It's
a lot of people have a sort of a bicep.
I don't like that. I find that irritating. So I've got one that goes around my waist, so my phone and my keys go in it.
Yeah.
But I think you're supposed to wear it at the front, but I just feel less bum baggy if I have the bag bit at the back.
Yeah, I just feel I could be pickpocketed then and not know anything about it.
Sometimes I put it under my t-shirt, but then it just looks like I've got a deformed back.
Like one of those cash belts that a tourist would wear.
Yeah.
Underneath all their clothes.
I've done that on walking trips. So if it's rained, I put the coat on over the backpack, and it does look a bit weird.
Yeah.
But no, always bomb bag at the front. Then if you do get pickpocketed, at least there's a bit of a bonus.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'll tell you what, I live quite near Bill Oddie.
Do you?
I guess we all do.
No.
And he wears a khaki multi-compartmental waistcoat.
Oh, like a fisherman's type scenario.
Yeah, now they look. You could have things that you might never, hardly ever. Real like stuff for a rainy day you could carry with you.
Oh yeah.
I like the look of that.
There's a real campaign with women's clothes because we don't have pockets in our clothes as much.
No, but you have handbags.
Yeah, but they're a pain. I don't like carrying a handbag.
But
I'd
if
much
I
rather
carry a handbag.
a man
A
bag.
handbag?
I know. You're right to be alarmed, Lady Ratnell. I know that we're in the 21st century now and it shouldn't matter, but I've never managed the man bag thing.
No.
See, I have, but I still might go back to bum bag.
I just like pockets. I like to have my hands free.
Go for combat trousers, as they used to be called. What's wrong with some
I want to be able to wear
pants?
a dress with big pockets. That I
You
love
get dresses with pockets.
You can, but they're rare. You have to seek them out.
I took a dog for a walk this week. Not my dog, but I was thinking when I was taking the dog for a walk, you could, if you got a dog that you take with you regularly, you could use that as a beast of burden.
Oh yeah,
You could have
little
like
sled on
saddlebags.
Oh, saddlebags. I was thinking more sled.
But why not have saddlebags with your wallet and, your
Why
vape?
Depends
Why
on the
not?
dog,
Yeah.
I guess. If you've got a sausage dog, you're not going to get much in
Little
that.
packed
are you?
lunch
I don't
in
know.
there.
You get quite a long thing.
Oh, I suppose.
You could put a frankfurter in a bun on there.
Yeah.
Just,
sausage dog. You could carry a truncheon.
if you could
You
teach
could
it.
use that as the spinal. If the spinal bit at the top, you could have that hollow and keep your truncheon in there in case you're attacked. I suppose if you're attacked, you could hit him with a dachshund. if it came to it. But
The children could just be a kosh.
But why not? A dog wouldn't bother a dog to have someone on its
Not
back.
at all.
Yeah, just like a purse and keys. They'd be all right with that, wouldn't they?
In fact,
just
they'd
want-
enjoy it. That's what the farmers tell us.
Summer is
They enjoy the work. The
Yeah,
animals.
they love it.
They love being
and
sheepdogs.
warfare. They love.
What if the dog
being
ran
involved
away
in
though?
it.
Because dogs do run
Oh,
away
yeah, you
sometimes.
don't
Then
want to see
not
your
only have you
wallet
lost
and
your dog, you
keys.
can't get in your house.
Well, one thing
Yeah.
you would have to carry is a harpoon gun. In that case, then you could reel it back in.
I think I'll just stick with my handbag.
Yeah.
I don't really believe me. If we could come up with something for the hot weather when you don't have your pockets, we would be doing
Well, I
a
think
national
we might be
service.
onto something with that. Why isn't there a dress that's like Bill Oddie's waistcoat covered in
Yeah, but we're
various
not going to
pockets?
wear a dress, are we?
No, not me. I mean, for
21st
Angela that
century,
wants
Frank.
pockets
I
on
know.
her
Wear a
dress.
dress.
I know. What about a Velcro top hat?
Oh, now you're talking.
You could just stick
Oh,
everything
put
for
everything
that.
in it. Yeah, so it
Not in
needs
it,
space.
just stuck on the outside.
Oh, I see.
Then
Yeah.
everything you own has got a little patch of Velcro and just put it all on your hat.
It'd take a bit of planning, but it'd be worth it.
And then when you met someone, you'd learn a lot about them, wouldn't you? Just by what they've got on their top hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'd see their family photos visible as the wind just opens the wallet. It's all there.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Alan Cochrane and Angela Barnes. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
I'll tell you who we haven't talked about on the show for a little while, and I consider him to be a friend of the show, is the Donald J. Trump.
Oh.
Friend of the show. Legend.
I don't know if he's actually a legend.
Well, he's sorted out North Korea.
He's brought about. To be fair, he's brought about world peace.
He's brought about some world peace.
We're living in a parallel universe where Donald Trump might have brought about world peace.
He's got
suggested
ABBA back
that might
together.
happen. People laughed. I mean, I was doing jokes about it, but people laughed.
Yeah.
And now he has. But also, him and Emmanuel Macron have had what the papers are calling a bromance all week. They held hands for a sustained amount of time.
Yes.
And they went and planted a tree together, and Donald Trump was grooming him at one point for a photograph. He brushed dandruff off his suit, which I think was a power play, personally.
That's like gorillas do that to each other, isn't it? That's the alpha male going, I'll put you in your place, mate.
I really think that is what happened. 'cause
It was textbook.
He's perfect. I'm just going to make sure that he looks perfect. And he brushed this dandruff off him.
I would love it if Macron had just gone, yeah, let's make you look perfect. We'll start with the hair.
Yeah. Well, I think Macron is a bit vain about his hair. You know, there was a kerfuffle in France because in his first 3 months of office, Macron spent 26,000 euros on hairdressing.
What?
Yeah.
He hasn't got that much hair.
I know.
He looks all right. Was it an almond kerfuffle?
You know what I think it is?
I bet you can get one of those in France.
I think
like almond kerfuffle.
I think Macron might have such a big dandruff problem that it costs like €1,000 an hour to deal with it.
I thought for 1 second he said, "Let me just get that." I thought he was going to take the French flag badge off and just throw it on the floor and say, "Now you're perfect." Because they had that thing which I always find bizarre, is that Trump wore an American flag.
Yeah.
And Macron wore a French flag on his lapel. And you think, yeah, it's all right, we're not going to get them mixed up.
Yeah.
It's not like my child goes to school with has to have his name tags on everything. I know me precedents.
Yeah.
I would think of Trump and the flag, his relationship with the flag is weird to me because he's got so much respect for a flag. More, you could say, than he does for, I don't know, women, for example. And I thought if I ever met Donald Trump, just to make sure he gave me the respect I was due, I would wear an outfit entirely made from the American flag.
Well, you couldn't fail if you did that.
Yeah, because then he'd have to respect me.
But they all wear the flag. Barack Obama, he wore the flag badge as well. It's just that, just in case you forgot what country I'm president of. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know, we know the PR's doing a great job. Relax.
Macron upsets me because he's younger than me. And I just,
is he?
that really...
I hate that.
Because suddenly...
I think Trump is younger than me. Has his gold in my ear.
His hair's younger than you, certainly, but I don't know what the rest of him is.
But it's younger than him, I suppose.
Yeah.
How old is Macron now?
38, I think. 30. No, I think he's just turned 40. He's just turned 40.
He had a big 40th birthday party,
yeah.
didn't he?
But see, if Jeremy Corbyn had picked dandruff off somebody's lapel, then people would be saying how marvellous that he's empowered dandruff sufferers everywhere and brought that issue into the public domain. But of course, everyone thinks Trump's... Are they called dandruff sufferers, or I think they're called drufferers.
Oh, nice.
Oh, God.
Druffers.
Yeah, but suddenly now, if you've got dandruff, it's been made. Because I was talking recently on here, whatever happened to dandruff?
Oh, I was just going to say, is that or whatever happened to?
I thought it had gone.
No, it's alive and well, I think, in the business community, as I pointed out at the time. But now it's gone right to the top of the business world.
Well,
with
there's a theory it was
world
lint.
leaders. They think it was lint.
Well, you don't normally have one piece of dandruff.
Yeah, it's good. It's all over, or it's not.
That doesn't constitute dandruff. One
Still
flake.
think it was a power play.
One flake doesn't make a summer.
It was absolute. I felt like Attenborough watching it. It was a complete like, I'm in charge here.
Well, all the hand holding and all that was like that.
Were they going down steps when he was holding it? Because he can't do that, can he, Trump? Can't go down steps without holding someone's hand.
That's the
Is that
Daleks.
right?
And also they worked that out in the end, the Daleks.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. They have the power of flight now.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's quite terrifying when you see a sky full of Daleks.
How did Doctor Hugh I can't say it.
Doctor Hugh. Doctor Hugh's got a practice in Wales.
community feel about that development?
Well, it's going back a bit. I think it would be remembrance of the Daleks when they first hovered. They hovered, but now, I mean, in the new series, as it's called, even though it's from 2005 onwards.
Yeah.
There was a bit where, like, the sky is full of flying Daleks over New York.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's the stairs thing, but Trumpelstiltskin hasn't worked him out yet. I didn't know that. He needs a pair of slinky-based Ogg boots.
Roll him down.
That would be great if you listened to this show and just ended up wearing shoes with those giant springs on. If next time we saw him.
I think one bit of credit you have to give to Trump is such is the level of his celebrity and such is the level of his impact the word Trump now has almost been completely disassociated from flatulence.
Yes.
Well, I
He's
don't know.
taken it, he's made it his own, and that was
think you're
not
right.
easy.
He has, but when I saw the headline that Donald Trump was planning a visit, I thought that's the best euphemism for I'm about to break wind that I've ever heard.
No, that is, yes, I like that. Also, they call Macron the Trump whisperer, which could be another criticism.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
He said at one point, he said that...
Donald Trump.
Yeah. He said that Macron was going to be a great... He said he's a great president. And then he said, only a prediction.
Yes. That's the sort of way that he speaks, isn't it?
Yeah, but we kind of knew that. He said he's going to be a great president, only a prediction.
Well,
Didn't think he knew.
Well, I think it's Donald Trump tactically thinking, well, if he now becomes a great president, I can take ownership of it. I spotted him at the start, but if he becomes bad, I can say, well, I had high hopes for him.
Yeah.
I had high hopes, but he's let me down. I think he's setting up a future power play there.
He really
against
thinks he's
Macron.
president of the world, doesn't he? I think
Well, he is.
really.
Sort of.
Well, I suppose, yeah.
I think he is, yeah.
It's hard to get around it.
Oh.
Leader of the free world.
Yeah. Can you still say that, the free world? Is it the idea that Russia and China are not part of the free world? They're in chains.
Yeah. Well,
That upsets me. If only I had a chain effect, I could run over the top of this.
I mean, these are facts, so.
Fantastic. Oh, sorry, they've gone. They march a lot faster than they used to. They'd be outside for 10 minutes in the old days, like the ice cream vans.
I like the fact that Macron took a sapling for them to plant, didn't they? They planted a little tree, and it did feel a bit like it was slightly ageist. What are the old like? Gardening. Let's do some gardening with him. We can't take him on a roller coaster. Let's go gardening.
A tree from a World War I battle site or
Yeah, it
something.
had some significance.
Yeah, the Americans they'd done some good warring
Yeah.
in that area. I think that's how it worked.
Yeah.
There used to be a lot of that stuff went on. People would arrive with trees from significant places. I mean, they had like very fancy brass shovels. You wouldn't buy those unless there was a ceremonial tree tradition.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably in and out of that White House the White House shed. In and out, say every 6 months, somebody brings a tree from some significant place.
Yeah.
You mark my words.
And they did the gardening with their coats on. Donald Trump had his sort of gangster, like shin-length Italian kind of
You know
Crombie
what?
on.
He didn't want to be left without pockets.
I think you're probably right.
I can
Oh, we've had
understand
something on that.
Yeah.
Actually, apparently, this is from Paul. He said only this week he saw a woman walking a Labrador with saddlebags, but she didn't have a harpoon. So
that. Can't be right, can it?
You suggested it was
I
fine
know.
a minute ago. Now someone else is doing it.
Is that a blind person?
One
that
rule
is
for you.
mistaken? Is it the harness thing?
Maybe.
Because
be.
if a blind person's dog, I mean, that's begging for a saddlebag on the side.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't leave any biscuits or anything in there. You know what they're going to be like? They'll turn themselves inside out, the dogs. Imagine the nightmare of having biscuits just over your shoulder.
My cousin's cat once, they bought, cats and catnip.
Yes.
the sort
Oh, yeah.
And they bought him a catnip toy for Christmas and wrapped it up and put it under the tree with all the other presents. The next morning they came down, there was just cat dribble over all the presents.
Oh,
They was
yeah.
trying to get to the catnip.
I find presents are easier to transport when they're covered in cat dribble. They sort of come out all in one piece. You can drag them like those nets that you see with like bottles on, glass orbs that they
Yeah.
throw in the sea. They come out like that
Nice.
with fabulous mozzarella cheese like spit keeping them all together.
Yeah, nice.
Is it safe, cat spit? Is that going to make you blind or something?
I don't know, cat the other end isn't safe, but I don't know, spit.
Is that
like,
right?
Is it?
Cat the other end.
Cat the other end. I'm trying to be
Yeah.
polite.
She was.
I think I know
She was
her.
good on the
Yeah.
X Factor. She was wise. She was right to change her name. I think Deal is a bit more.
Frank
Frank Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Imagine if after all the handshaking and I'm going to say it, heavy petting between Trump and Macron, imagine if they both just eloped and left their wives for each other. Like,
That'd be great.
if they actually properly...
They wouldn't have to give up their presidency, would they?
Don't think so.
If they
Not in
did
this
that.
day and age. Maybe 50 years ago they might have had
But
to.
I think long distance relationships are difficult, and I suppose there would be some public interests. I think.
Yeah.
I think age-wise, I was going to say
There
the
may be
age gap, but
scrutiny.
actually Macron's wife is in her 60s, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean Trump's.
I mean, he's 70
got a
something, so he
few-
might be a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in great shape.
Yeah. Oh God, that makes you feel sick.
Is that why you said that?
That's what he
Because she's
said.
older.
Right.
I think he did. I think he was saying, she might be old, but
Did
well
he-
done, not bad.
Do you
It's
then
just vile.
turn to the paparazzi and say, age ain't nothing but a number? Am I right, guys?
So it's the way he sort of looked her up and down and said, "You're in great shape. Beautiful."
Basically, what he meant was, "I would." Didn't he?
Yes,
That's
I
what.
think
That's
so.
what that meant.
But I think that. I mean, how old is Trump? He's about 70.
He's 70 something. Yeah.
72 maybe, I don't know.
I think for a lot of men, and I speak as an older man myself, there's that time when you suddenly think, no, hold on, what am I saying? It does take a while to sink in. I'm not saying it's sunk in yet.
For yourself or for
No,
Donald?
with me, I think it has.
Right.
But, as a professional broadcaster, one has to have standards. But as a president of America, you can get
You
away
don't,
with
Yeah.
all sorts.
He'd never done any broadcasting before. Oh,
Oh,
What
Oh,
I'm
hang
saying,
on.
I think
He's been on television for 20 years.
I think he's work in progress as far as that's concerned.
Right.
He's not as bad as he used to be.
no.
I don't know. He's not going to. Old dogs and new tricks. He's not going to suddenly
come on.
start.
Old dogs
He's coming
can
to
learn new
visit.
tricks.
He's coming to visit. We should be...
Listen, that's a ship coming up the river. I
you've
only
been doing
learned
the
that quite
noises.
recently.
Good for you.
Old dogs, new tricks. There you go.
Donald Trump is coming to the UK.
They're talking about the protests and stuff that might happen. I think the best thing you can do is just nothing, because that would really rile him.
I think the protests may be somewhat misguided, but yeah, they're probably going to do
I
that.
think with the
aren't
protests, the only thing that worries me is now we've turned our back on Europe, is if we upset him when he comes over and he says, OK, I won't trade with you anymore. We'll all end up living by the outpipes of tinned fruit factories, living on scraps. We'll have nothing.
they? Have you ever thought about writing a dystopian novel?
Oh, maybe I will. But he could do that. He could.
Outpipes of
Can't you
tinned fruit
imagine him?
factories. The devil's
Can't
in
you
the
imagine
detail.
him? He sees one effigy burning and he says, OK, that's the end of any
Yeah.
trade
Yeah.
with us whatsoever.
Or he might even go a stage further and go, nothing for England, just Scotland, which I've always loved.
yeah.
And then,
Or do you just pick a completely random, just Dumfries?
oh,
Yeah.
could. I
You
wouldn't
can
put it past
you know,
him.
you know that with a bunch of people, if you're nice to one, you can cause unrest.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that. If you,
Divide and rule, yeah.
yeah, but he
Is there
can't.
anything that we send, that we export to America that they just couldn't live without? I can't think. Jam?
Haggis,
That's not it, is
tartan.
it?
Actually, they can't
Worcester-
send haggis
Worcester
because of the
sauce?
offal.
Worcester sauce? Yeah, maybe.
They could live without that.
I
couldn't they?
reckon they
Probably.
could. They've got loads of condiments over
I
there.
hope he doesn't tell the Queen she's in great shape.
Oh God!
I hope he does.
I
And
think
it's
that would
brilliant that he's coming on Friday the 13th. It seems.
It's all building up. There will be an enormous protest,
Yeah.
especially now Arsene Wenger has gone. There's a lot of people kicking their heels with something else to get their teeth into. And I think he might get the worst of it.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Should we talk about Tom Cruise?
I'm always happy to talk about Tom Cruise. Let me ask you a
He's a
question.
fascinating figure.
Can I ask you a question about Tom Cruise? There was
Yeah,
a
sure.
time when Tom Cruise... I mentioned Michelle Pfeiffer when we were chatting before the show today, and there was a time when Michelle Pfeiffer was definitely in the beautiful woman chair, as I
Sure.
would call it. So if you wanted to do a joke about a beautiful woman, you would have said Michelle Pfeiffer. If you wanted to do a joke about a sexy man, for a long time it would have been Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brad Pitt,
I'd
Tom
say Brad
Cruise.
Pitt took his crown. I'd say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is it now then?
Oh, one of the Ryans, Gosling.
Ryan's. Oh, I see.
Oh, yes.
The
Gosling.
Gosling
Of
is...
course, Gosling.
He is four.
Yeah.
Tom
Sorry,
has
out
the
loud.
advantage. He's a sort of a travel version
Tom Cruise.
The good
like,
bloke.
like those little toothbrushes.
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
get
exactly.
Put it in
for
your bum
themselves.
bag and take it with you.
It wouldn't be any problem with Tom.
That's
On the
right.
plane and that, he's not moaning about leg room.
Do you think Tom Cruise has moved from the sort of handsome male lead chair to the small person?
Maybe
Sure.
he has.
Do you think-
Yeah.
Ronnie Corbett vacated it.
Yes, Ronnie Corbett's died and Tom Cruise has died. I think that's probably
They
right.
played a little bit of merry-go-round chair.
Because the short person chair, you couldn't put Warwick Davis in there, obviously.
No.
For
So that
political
it has to be,
reasons. Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a cut-off point.
So did it go Napoleon, Corbett, Cruise?
I think so.
That's the...
Yeah, probably Jimmy Clitheroe was in there somewhere, but I don't want to be picky.
I don't know who that is.
No, exactly. He was a popular short person in the old days. Well, mainly on radio, so that was wasted.
Yeah.
Interesting. Different times.
Yeah, different times.
But Tom Cruise is in the news, we should say.
Well, that
'cause,
rhymes.
yeah, I do a lot of my work.
Alun raps at this time every week.
Did you not know? It's one of my things. Okay. Well, he tried the same stunt 106 times, apparently. I couldn't quite get in the story why they did it 106 times, because it didn't seem to dwell on the 105 failures in any way. It seemed like it was a boast.
You know what I was saying last week, that you ask people if they've seen a film and they say I've seen it 20 times and they mean 7.
Right, yeah.
I'd say he did this 17 times.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be a duty log, though. Surely there's
I know,
some
but we-
fact
Even then,
checking.
at what point do you go, if it's taken me 106 times to get it right, maybe I'm not very good at this and it's time to
let's
get a man in.
Let's get a stunt man.
The stuntmen
You know?
must hate him, don't you think? Like,
Taking
Also,
all
with
their
a
work.
little man like Tom, there's a danger. It was a parachute jump, wasn't it?
yeah,
You
I
have
know
to
what
free fall.
plane.
There's a danger he might go upwards instead of downwards.
He was
because
6 foot when he started.
It's called a halo, which is an acronym for high altitude, low opening. So it's loads of falling. You know, there's whoo, fall, and then whoop, oh, parachute. I think it's that. That was the stunt. But
But how long would it
106
take to do that 106 times? Because you got to land.
Weeks.
Still got to land.
Well, each one they said they had to do loads of planning for each jump, so it's not like you could just do one.
They can't have done 106.
My question is, what was the insurance premiums on
Well,
that? Because
stunt,
I went
stuntmen
to get
hate
my
him.
car
Insurers
insured.
love him.
Well, yeah, when I tried to get my car insured, right, because I do stand up,
Yeah.
if you tell them you're a comedian, it costs a fortune because they think you're going to have famous people in your car.
Yeah, they said
potentially.
that to me.
100% agree.
You know, and so it's really
Yeah.
expensive. So I can't afford my car insurance. What was his?
Yeah.
Tom
The
Cruise
person
about
said
plane?
to me, well, first of all, you do a lot of late driving and there is a drink and drugs problem. I said, OK. He said, and also, say if you give Terry Wogan a lift home. I said, but, we get cars. You don't know we get cars.
Yeah.
Cars come and take... Terry Wogan's not saying, you're not going my way, are you? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I've got a Skoda Fabia. No one famous is getting in the back of my
Don't get
Skoda.
me wrong, I'd love to have given Terry Wogan. I would have happily given him a lift home,
Yeah.
but it just is no
You
need.
wouldn't have wanted it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they Googled me whilst I was trying to get motorbike insurance once. They said, oh, hang on a
Googled you?
second, we're just going to have to Google you because you said you're in entertainment. I said, barely. And they went off and Googled and came back and said, it's going to be more expensive because we've Googled you.
See the internet.
Outrageous.
That reminds me, I once got
I
a
dread
flight
to think
from
the abuse they read.
Edinburgh to London. I was doing the Edinburgh Fringe and I had to fly down to London to do a gig and fly back again. And I, on the way to London, I lost my passport. I left it on the plane. So flying back to Edinburgh again, I was really panicked. Well, and because it's not international, all you need is photo
driving
ID.
licence.
And I
Nice.
didn't have anything because everything was in Edinburgh and I was in London. And in the end, they let me on the plane. I showed them a clip of me on YouTube.
Wow.
Doing Russell Howard's Good News because it has my name on the backdrop. And they accepted it and let me on
That
the
should
flight.
not be acceptable ID.
Well, I had to show ID to get into the Albert Hall for the Queen's birthday party. They wouldn't accept my over 60s travel card.
Really?
They said that's not proper photo ID. Well, it's got my name and the photo
On it, yeah.
That seems a shame.
Luckily, a man said, it's all right, I know him, a security guy. Otherwise, I could have been stranded. Could still be there now. Agists. Queen got in, it's older than me. What, did she just hold up a £1 coin?
Yeah, just stamp.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
What's the motivation, would you say, for doing your own stunts?
Ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be
absolutely.
anything else, can there?
Not
No.
a single thing.
No.
You know, you're doing someone out of a job for a start-up
Yeah.
who's paid. I did, I did a thing where I played Johnny Cash recently.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a bit where I have to be kicked by an ostrich and fly through the air and land on my back. And they got...
Bernie Clifton.
Yeah, no, he was the ostrich. And I said, obviously, well, I'm not doing that. And they said, oh, no, you're not doing it.
Oh, good for
Your age, he'll kill you. And so we got a bloke coming in. So the stunt man comes in to look like me. So he's got the same outfit on. He's like 28,
Right.
dashingly handsome, stomach like a rock.
Oh, that must have been good for the ego, Frank.
No, it was a nightmare because I just thought that's what I ought to be. That's what I ought to look like.
Right.
And this is, it was like, Plato had this thing that everything on earth has got a perfect version of it in a sort of a heaven. It was like that. It was like I was the product from this perfect ideal of what I should have been.
Oh.
Good night.
Tune in next week for more Plato references on
How
Absolute
old
Radio.
is Tom Cruise?
Oh, guessing game. 8, 12, 15. How old is Tom
Oh,
Cruise?
he's got to be like in his 50s now,
I
isn't he?
should think so. He still looks good, to be
Yeah.
fair.
It does
He's
still look
small
good.
but beautifully marked.
Great
Yeah.
shape, as Trump might
I
say.
mean, he
He
could
is
have come
in
on
great
an
shape.
umbrella.
Poppins it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think I think I once saw him abseiling on Nicole Kidman. That's how he's fearless. He's absolutely fearless.
I'm very risk averse. I can't.
Me
Like, I
too.
won't wear shoes with heels, particularly not if I'm on stage, because I just think if I walk on stage and fall over, nothing I say could ever be funnier than that.
Yeah.
Somebody falling over is the funniest. That you just have to get up and go, "Thank you very much, good night."
Yeah.
Hank Williams, I think, fell off a stage and did his back in and never quite got over it and had to take painkillers, and that resulted in his
Demand.
untimely death.
Falls can really hurt.
Yeah, falling off stage is not good.
At what
Yeah.
point does
It'll
falling
take-
over become having a fall? Because now I'm in my
Oh,
40s, I think
that's
I'm more
frank.
likely to have a fall.
Well, if you think about falling off stage, it's not dissimilar to being hanged.
yeah.
You're on stage and then you drop.
Oh, I
Apart from the
suppose.
rope round the neck, that's the only thing that makes it worse.
Yeah, I mean,
Was that what happened to the GC? Didn't she fall down through a
She
stage?
did.
She did.
Yeah, yeah.
she did.
Didn't even get 10 quid for turning up.
Never even got a tenner for turning up. Feel
But
for
I just don't know what makes you do that 106 times.
Right. There's things you try, like I try to eat melon because I'm not fussy with food at all. I love all food and I pride myself in that, but I just hate melon.
Right.
But I think I should like it, and it makes me cross that I don't. And I must have tried melon. That's the only thing I can think of that I've done 106 times, just to check that I still don't like
I
it.
get
Wow.
that with food that I don't like. I keep trying, and it's partly a morbid fantasy that I'll be at a buffet and it'll be free and I won't like it. So
That
I will
would be
keep
awful.
going. I mean, that'd be horrible, wouldn't it? I've got over so many foods that I didn't like. Sushi I used to hate.
I think it's good to persevere with the tropical fruits.
You don't want to hear them all.
I don't want to hear them. I thought I'd stop you there. And we can let's just imagine a ... on the airwaves.
Garlic,
But
mushrooms.
No, but if you persist with the tropical fruits,
Yes.
and then you are shipwrecked in some way, cast adrift on
Be
a
all right.
desert island, you're off. I
Yeah.
suppose monkey flesh would be a good one to get into.
We started
Yeah,
with squid.
They're not easy to catch monkeys. They're just by a tree. You need something.
Oh, just softly.
Hey!
Oh, nice.
Oh.
That, I believe, is
Oh,
the
I bow
technique. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you for having me. I've had a lot of fun.
It was lovely to have you on. And go and see Angela on the rest of her tour, which is in Maidstone, sold out, but a lot of people won't turn up because you've offended them. So there might be
Yes, and there might be tickets returns tonight at the Hazlitt. Bring your
Indeed.
tomatoes.
But you're all over the place, and
I
you'll have a
am.
website and
Yeah.
Twitter. Are you on that Twitter thing?
I'm on that Twitter, at Angela Barnes on Twitter.
There you go, Angela Barnes. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.